Now, the news. Donald Trump has seemingly flipped his stance on guns. In his last term as president, we saw one of the most egregious bans on a gun-related product that I've seen in my entire lifetime. His push to ban bump stocks was just not good. It's not okay. He also said this:
take the guns first, go through due process second.
Which is a massive problem. However, this time around, he has made efforts to surround himself with people that are actually pro-gun, like the GOA, and just the other day released an executive order on guns. The core of this executive order was to essentially review and reevaluate any presidential or agency actions or rulings that happened between January 2021 to now that may have infringed on the 2A under the guise of public safety. That sounds great, right? This is a clear effort, though, to erase anything that took place during the Biden presidency specifically. It's honestly kind of refreshing to hear anything like this from a president. However, it bothers me that it's specific to the Biden presidential term only. We could go back to the freaking 90s with this. And it isn't specific about what will actually happen. It also involves the new attorney general, who has shown that she will back red flag laws. That's a problem, right? So to me, this is overall positive, but I will remain very skeptical that it will actually really affect change for gun owners. I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comments on this one. Welcome back to another episode of the Gun Collective News. Hello, hi, welcome. I'm John Patton, and we are on the path to 400,000 subscribers on YouTube. If you're new here and you like guns, it would be awesome if you could hit the subscribe button on YouTube and help us reach that goal. That would be incredible. If you are already subscribed, like a bunch of you already are, then thanks for giving a shit. That's great. I appreciate you. Now, how's about some new guns? Smith & Wesson snuck one kind of under the radar on us. It's a new version of the CSX called the E series. At the core, you have a hammer-fired pistol chambered in 9mm with either a 3.1 or a 3.6-inch barrel. It comes with 3 mags. Holy shit, it's about time, right? The gun industry doing that is awesome. You get one 12-rounder, one 15, and one 17-rounder. And instead of just using mag sleeves to fill the space, they've integrated a filler piece into a back strap to extend the grip and make this sort of adult size for that large 17-round mag. It appears that the 15-rounder will probably use a mag sleeve. It's changeable sort of from a micro compact to a compact grip length, and that's cool. And 17-round mags is also solid for this type of gun. On top of that, they now come with an optic cut, which was missing on the old one, and they claim that the trigger is improved, but don't specify what they actually did. The trigger on the other one was garbage. Essentially, it seems like they've taken the old CSX and changed every part of the gun that I said was bad. Probably not as a direct result of what I said. Maybe, I don't know. That would be a bit self-aggrandizing, but they made it potentially not terrible now. The MSRP here is $700. Sound off in the comments if you want to see us get a review sample of this gun. IWI snuck some stuff under the radar as well. Bunch of companies doing that. 2 new versions of the Masada Slim, aka the Masada 9S. This new version is called the Slim Elite. Essentially what we have is the same 3.4-inch 9mm striker-fired gun, but the barrel has been improved with a longer feed ramp for reliability with all ammo types. It's got an improved takedown, a new grip module that, unlike the first one of the Slim, that first version, it now has a Picatinny rail under the nose. It also has a flared magwell. That's cool. New back straps. Cool. And with that, it now comes with one 13 and one 17-round mag. In my opinion, this is a better gun for the U.S. market overall. The MSRP on this one is $500, which is up about $50 from the lesser version. And by the way, I called the lesser version the best budget EDC for 2023. It's pretty good. On top of that, you can now get what they're calling the Slim Commander Elite, which is essentially the Elite gun with an aluminum grip module from Mischief Machine. I actually have one of these grip modules on the non-elite version of the gun, and it was a massive improvement. It's really good. It sort of takes the gun to a different place because it's aluminum, has all kinds of grip, and it's a really good shape. So this can only be a good thing in my mind. MSRP for the Commander Elite version is $850. You pay for that grip module. Also in new guns, EAA released a new version of the Witness 2311 called the Match X. Essentially, this is the same as the others, but with a comped barrel. Has a 5-inch barrel, chambered to 9mm, 17 and 20 round mags, and a two-tone finish on this one. The comp is also sort of gently cupped, just a little bit cupped, because the pick rail extends all the way out under it. Now, we had an older version of this gun in 10mm, and it was absolutely hot garbage. And so were their high-power clones. So I have a massive amount of skepticism towards this match gun. I put my hands on it at the Great American Outdoor Show the other day, and it felt kind of okay at best, so the jury's still out. Also, shout out to everyone that did come by and say hi when I was in Harrisburg over the weekend. You guys are awesome. It's so cool that I get to meet you guys. That's cool. MSRP on the Match X is $1070, which is actually really cheap for this style of gun. Ross Martin has two new ones for us this week. First is the new version of the RM1C with a big old comp cut in the nose, just right through there. That's cool. We've seen a massive rise in comp guns these days, and this is kind of continuing that trend. The barrel is a 4-incher. It comes with 115 to 117 round mag, ambi controls, optic cut, and is basically the same as the original gun, but with a big old comp cut in the nose. MSRP is $490. The original gun was actually pretty good, and if you want to get a quick rundown, a good review on that, Sean from Dangerous Freedom just put one out the other day, and that is linked in the description. The other new gun from Ross Martin this week is the RM1S, which is, as you may have guessed, a new subcompact version of the gun. This one has a 3.6-inch barrel, more grip texture all around, which is a nice touch considering it is a smaller gun. And the mags have been trimmed down to one 12-rounder and one 15-rounder. It's still optic cut and still has all those ambi controls. It's just a little bit smaller. MSRP there is $470. I just want to point out to people in the comments that say, you don't ever cover the budget guns, John. I mean, most of the guns this week have been affordable, some more than others, but you get the point. I'm pretty pleased to see Ross Martin continuing to grow as a brand. They came kind of out of nowhere a couple years back and have actually kept their self-created position of making affordable, decent guns. They've kept that going. Again, go watch Sean's video for some intel on these things. You know what else you might want some intel on? This week's sponsor, Woox. Woox offers everything from rifle chassis to furniture for your 12-gauge, all with a big helping of beautifully finished, ultra-stylish wood. They just released this new Superleggera, aka Super Light stock for your Remington 700, Howa 1500, Tika T3, and more. I'm planning to use it as the base for a lightweight, long-action hunting rifle. And now you can get this Superleggera as part of a hunting pack with the new Terra Axe and Bad Boy Hunter knife. Big thank you to Woox for supporting this channel. We do appreciate it. Those guys are great. I'm gonna hit you guys, listening, watching, etc., with a friendly fire question that I think has some relevance. Jesus is alive, 3227, says, how many people on average can shoot under 1 MOA? And the answer is not many. This comment came from me talking about how the gun industry should stop pretending like 1 MOA accuracy is like somehow impressive. It's just not. I don't think it's very common for folks to be able to shoot sub-MOA, and that's partially because I don't think most people try to shoot 1 MOA or better. The percentage of people that have access to longer ranges on a regular basis is also fairly limited. It's a shame, but that doesn't mean that the industry can't do better. Moving on, let's do some rapid fire news. Athlon Optics, a company that I'm not super familiar with, I think it's Chinesium, seemingly bought the Garmin Zero C1 chronograph. They bought one of those, they shipped it over to China and said, hey, make this, but make it slightly different because they just released this thing. It's called the Rangecraft Velocity Pro, and it is a chronograph, and if this is the new form factor of all good chronographs going forward, I am not mad about it. These are great. They're tiny. MSRP is $472.48 because screw being normal and giving a real price. And the Garmin MSRP is $599 for reference. Wilson Combat announced their new Silent Bandit, which is a titanium 30 caliber suppressor. It's apparently named after Bill Wilson's dog. No one tell the ATF. There are 2 versions, one with 5 baffles and one with 6. I don't know why. Just make one. There's no reason to have, that's not that much of a difference. What are we doing? Both have the same MSRP of $11.20. Seems like a pretty straightforward can, and they're claiming 31 decibels of reduction. Pelican came out with a new gun case insert thing to compete with Magpul's DACA line. DACA, whatever. It's called Reset, and you have these sort of individual foam pegs that are locked into a larger plastic frame that holds them into place. You can push them in and create a very specific shape to hold your gear in the case. There's no word on pricing just yet, and this doesn't really exist on Pelican's website either, so who knows if they'll actually make it. I think it's a really cool concept, and I want them to make it, and I'd love to hear if you guys think stuff like this in your case would actually be valuable, or you just type that just like leaves the foam in there and just goes, cool. I digress. I would be messing up if I didn't take a second to mention that longtime YouTuber and gun-related channel Demolition Ranch is shutting down. Matt Carricker said recently in an Off the Ranch video that he will slowly be shutting off the taps on content after finishing a bunch of current projects because he wants to spend more time with his family. What a tragic thing that he wants to, like, that's great, cool. Matt introduced an enormous amount of people to guns through some really lighthearted content. He built a very nice life for his family from doing that, and that's pretty rad. That's kind of the dream. Hats off to Matt for stepping away for the right reasons. It's not like some controversy or something. He's like, you know what, I'm just going to do this because I can. That's awesome. In other news, the background check numbers for January are in, and we hit 2.4 million checks for the first month of the year. This number is actually not super far off from the previous 3 years, so we shall see where this year ends up. I will say that we are now over 500 million background checks being run since the NICS system was started back in the 90s, and that probably means that the amount of firearms in the U.S. could be above that. I've seen estimates of under 400 million back in 2018. And now I don't know the real total, but there have been roughly 200 million background checks since then. So it's probably gone way up. And another piece of government data that I think is relevant for you guys, the TSA, Transportation Security Administration, aka the people that cup your balls at the airport, posted some data on firearms, specifically how many guns they discovered in recent years, as well as which airports are the most frequent offenders. Well, last year, they discovered 6,678 guns, which sounds like a pretty good amount until you realize that in that same year, there were 904 million passengers screened. On the TSA website, they try to break it down in a way that kind of like appears favorable, showing that 94% of the guns are loaded and that they discovered a whole 7.4 guns per million passengers. But here's the number that matters most. That is 0.00073% of passengers caught with a gun. Yay for government efficiency. We don't have statistics on how many they missed, of course, because that happens too. I want to point out that TSA's annual budget is currently $11.5 billion, and the bulk of what they do is tell you to throw out your water bottle and take your shoes off.
This is inhumane. Shut up, sir.
And I've never met a more miserable group of people than the mongoloids that work for the TSA. Hey, Elon, while you're pissing off half the country doing what you're doing right now, why don't you handle that bullshit?